Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low.
How you going? It's Jay Fallon. Thanks for listening to the Slippery Slope. So it's been a it's been a pretty interesting couple of days. The weekend today, when I'm recording this is the fourth of March, 2025. Still wrapping my head around the fact that we're in March. So should I start planning for Christmas very soon? I assume. Yep. 2025. Look, the biggest thing that I saw over the weekend, over the last few days anyway, was that meeting, that meeting that President Zelensky of Ukraine had with President Trump and the Vice President, JD Vance. Interesting tactic of Zelensky to really get in there and start just kicking the hornet's nest a bit. Very interesting tactic when I think I heard Trump say, well, you don't hold any of the cards, at least with America, you hold some of the cards and, we can help. But his tactic was, hey, let's just go in. Let's really stir up things. Let's, well, come across a little insulting, antagonize people with the actual ability to help, not just militarily, not just with weapons, but also with dialogue, because they have the ability, or they have, well, it seems like, what's his name? Putin actually has a willingness to have some open dialogue with Trump. So, so what's Zelensky do? He decides to go in there and be a bit of a, how can you say it nicely? A bit of a prick.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
To be honest, now, look, I have, and I do not support Putin by any means. What he has done is disgusting. Obviously, he's a despot, but it just blows me away watching that meeting and watching the behavior, listening to the words coming out of Zelensky's mouth, thinking, where does this fella think he is? And I have had my doubts for a long time. I haven't put up anything for a long time about Zelensky, but when I did put up a post, or not long after, I think within the first year that the war started raging, I I made it clear I had some doubts about Zelensky. It seemed to me, it seemed a little strange that war was supposedly, or is raging. They're in fear for their lives, and Zelensky was out doing some kind of weird tour of the world. He would just randomly pop up. Hollywood loved him. He was doing that tour with Kamala Harris there for a while. It was almost like, oh yeah, the war's being, my country is being savaged by Russia. But I'm going to go and jump on the world stage and get my popularity up. It was like he was. It was almost like he was someone. He was an influencer looking for likes on his Insta page. That's what it seemed like. And yeah, I had my doubts. I've had my doubts for a long time about Zelensky. And then watching that meeting and listening to some of the commentary, but watching that meeting, I just thought this is not right. This fella, I think President Trump, I think what the Americans are saying is absolutely correct. They've spent billions and billions of dollars supplying weapons, helping Ukraine. That you have to take a different tactic. You have to try and pivot. You have to try and do something else. You can't just keep supplying weapons, supplying all this money, spending all this money. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And it seems like Zelensky wants the whole world. He seems like he wants a World War III. That's what it seems like he's gunning for. You listen to his speech and you think this fellow wants everyone to get involved. He wants the whole world to get in. And like Trump said, you can have someone, was it Trump or Vance, you know, Biden came out and he was beating his chest and saying, we're going to do all this, we're going to do all that. And then nothing actually happened. So you can either have someone in the White House who's going to beat their chest, going to thump their chest and talk all this rubbish, and nothing actually happens, and the war still continues on, and they'll just continue writing or funding everything, spending billions and billions of dollars. Or you can have someone in there who's actually going to try and get things done and use diplomacy. And at the end of it all, the war, trying to fight back the way that they're trying to fight back at the moment, is not working. And very, very possibly, the whole world, if Zelensky had his way, he would just drag the whole world in. And all these people, what the Europeans have done, and what the previous American government has done, in my opinion, is just help to ramp up the war machine. Just keep the money going for the global war machine. That's all they've done. It hasn't really stopped anything. It hasn't really it hasn't stopped Russia at all, and it's just caused the death of hundreds of thousands of people. That's all it's done. And like I said, it's like Zelensky is just trying to win a popularity contest, and it seems to have worked for in Australia. I mean, you see what our prime minister was doing on the weekend. He was leading the Sydney lesbian and gay Mardi Gras parade. I love this headline. This is one post that got put up. It says, in a stunning display of leadership, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese took a break from wrecking the economy to strut his stuff at Sydney's Mardi Gras, proudly waving to the crowd like a true statesman, wearing his signature weekend at Bernie's dad sneakers, elbow beamed with the confidence of a man whose top priorities are pride parades and unlimited taxpayer-funded handouts, because that's about all he does. Sources say he checked his phone every 5 minutes for a call from Ukrainian heartthrob Volodymyr Zelensky, ensuring their long-distance bromance remained intact. It's so inspiring to see a leader who stands for whatever the latest Twitter trend tells him to, said one onlooker. Meanwhile, struggling Aussies wondering how to afford groceries were reassured that diversity and inclusion would fill their empty pantries. And hey, don't think for a second that the opposition is going to be any better when it comes to Ukraine. This headline came through: Dutton hails Ukrainian president modern day hero, apparently, who needs support. Well, yeah, he does need support. Not convinced he's an actual hero, but there's old Dutton there. But come on, Australia's stance on Ukraine has diverged from that of the US opposition leader Peter Dutton has said, as he declared the wartime European president and modern day hero. Dutton and Prime Minister Anthony Albanese both offered their support to the under fire Volodymyr Zelensky on Monday after European leaders signaled a coalition of the willing for peace in Ukraine overnight. The bipartisan support comes after the disastrous White House meeting on Friday where Trump publicly clashed with Zelensky. I would say it was more Zelensky publicly clashed with Trump. You watch the footage, it seems like Zelensky was really goading things along there. And some of his biggest supporters in America have now pulled the pin on him and called him out for what he's done. Anyway, so he's declaring he was gambling with World War III just days after calling the Ukrainian president a dictator. Dutton said he was disappointed by what played out between the two presidents. Now, let's just have a look at this video. This came up on Sky News. This was at Rita Panahi. This interview that she does, in the analysis of what's happened, the fallout. There's a couple of things that I want to look at here. We'll just go through this first interview that she's doing.
Actually watch that full encounter before opining about what happened in the White House. But Josh, these negotiations have been underway for some time, and some crazy reasons, Zelensky decided to renegotiate the deal in front of the world's media and decided to do it by being incredibly rude, incredibly dismissive of both the president and the vice president.
Rita, it's one of the most astonishing things I think I've ever seen in politics. I was actually recording an episode of my own show, The Josh Hammer Show, while this was happening live at the White House, and I recorded a whole segment on the Russia-Ukraine deal because I assumed that it was basically a done deal. And then I saw what happened, and I texted my producer. I was like, "Oh my God, we have to redo the entire segment. Like, what the heck just happened at the White House here?" I mean, what was Zelensky thinking? I mean, I like you, Rita, have watched this entire exchange there. It almost seems to me like he went in there with the full intention of just blowing this up. And I'm not entirely sure exactly what he's trying to do, other than the fact that, one, I don't think he's very good at this. I don't think Vladimir Zelensky is very good at this whole international politics thing. Two, he must have the worst advisors in the world. Remember when he did that campaign stop with Kamala Harris in Pennsylvania at the munitions factory? He has gone all in repeatedly for the left, for liberals, for Democrats there. And he doubled down and tripled down, quadrupled down in utterly spectacular fashion there. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, Reed, let's be very clear here. They did nothing wrong. Nothing. I cannot name a single thing that I think they did wrong. On the contrary, they had extraordinary patience there. They spent roughly 35 minutes out of that 55-minute or so exchange there trying to get Zelensky to actually agree to the deal that he had basically, in theory, already agreed to. But the whole thing's a mess. The whole thing's a mess, but Zelensky is entirely to blame for it. He really is 100% to blame here, I think.
And this is the issue at the moment. This quite a few people have said he'd already agreed to this deal with the US, and then he's come out and he's made other statements which seem to say that, oh no, they're ripping us off. We're not going to agree to this. It's a weird tactic of him. It's a bold tactic.
Well, when you do watch the entire exchange, you do see that Donald Trump in particular was uncharacteristically patient and diplomatic, as Zelensky just was dismissive, would make comments, would roll his eyes. It was just... I just don't know why that performance took place. And I do wonder whether this relationship between Zelensky and the Trump administration is salvageable. I hope for the sake of the Ukrainian people it is salvageable and it's done quickly. But even some of Zelensky's biggest supporters, including Senator Lindsey Graham, who has campaigned endlessly for further funding for Ukraine, even he was appalled by what happened in the Oval Office. And I've got to say, this is significant. This is his comments shortly after the press conference ended.
What I saw in the Oval Office was disrespectful, and I don't know if we can ever do business with Zelensky again. I think most Americans saw a guy that they would not want to go in business with. The way he handled the meeting, the way he confronted the president, was just over the top. He either needs to resign and send somebody over that we can do business with, or he needs to change.
Like Rita was saying there, that's from Senator Lindsey Graham, one of Zelensky's or Ukraine's biggest supporters over the years, and that's what he's saying. Zelensky, yeah, it's like he's just either just wasn't reading the room or he's got something different in mind. I think he's very, very used to what the Democrats have been doing for him, just support no matter what. Even, there's reports that President Biden had lost his temper and yelled at him in June of last year, I think it was, and was starting to lose it. But yet comes out and still continue supporting financially, writing all big checks for him anyway, even though he was getting angry at Zelensky and what he was doing. So it just seems like Zelensky's not reading the room properly. He doesn't understand that the Americans are tired of what's been going on. They're tired of all the waste, all the, just the spending, just wasting money, going after something that's not working. Something different needs to change, needs to happen. Like I've said, if nothing changes, then nothing changes. Zelensky, it seems like he just wants it to continue on as it has been for the last couple of years. Now, there hasn't been an election for a long time. Trump's saying, well, you need to have an election. You need to try a different tactic. Zelensky, it seems, is pushing for something else. Like I said years ago, I don't think he's a leader you can really trust. At the end of it all, just my opinion, it seemed like what Zelensky was doing was very disrespectful. It seemed like he just wasn't really reading the room properly. He's gone in there with this mindset that, hey, this is still the Democrats, this is still Joe Biden and what's his name, Kamala Harris, and he can just do whatever he wants. He's just going to get a kind of a, well, even if Joe Biden had have yelled at him, when he goes out in the public eye, he's still going to get a bit of a rock star reception. And he just hasn't realized that things have changed and that he really needs to make some changes if he really, really does want the war in his home nation to end. And maybe just get his head out of the sand if he honestly thinks that it's going to end with the defeat of Russia. And it seems like he just wants World War III, in my opinion, which is not good for anyone. Anyway, this is all just my opinion. Let me know what you think. It's a very complex situation, obviously, but just give my 2 cents worth. My name is Jay Fallon. Thanks for listening to The Slippery Slope.
They just fuel the desire that will take me higher. I'm on fire because nothing's going